Hey everyone, before this video starts, I wanted to give a quick shout out to the Nash Villa, the Airbnb that we have stayed in and recorded all of these episodes in. This Airbnb is so amazing. Alex and Spencer have done such an awesome job with this. If you are coming to Nashville, make sure you check out this Airbnb. We were close to walking distance to downtown, restaurants, bars. Everything was so amazing and so cute. So make sure you check out the link in the description below and book your trip to Nashville. Thanks, guys. Hey guys, welcome back to Beauty School Bobbi. Today I'm back with Oxana Mead in Nashville, Tennessee. So last time we came here, I didn't get to do a sit-down interview with her, so I had to come back and get that because I just fell in love last time I was here. I feel like we got cut short and I wanted so much more time with you. So thank you so much for joining us again.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, so what I was most intrigued about and what I haven't stopped thinking about since I met you is you are just such a powerhouse. You are doing so many different things, and just as soon as I talked to you about what you're doing in your salon, I was like, holy crap, like she has her stuff together. So I love the way that you are doing so many different things. And so I wanted to kind of share your story a little bit. So how did this all start of you coming to the United States? Because you were you were born and raised in Moldova, and you lived there until what age?
21.
Okay. So you were there the majority of your life.
Majority of my young, yeah.
Yeah. And so for a lot of people who don't know where Moldova is, am I saying it right?
Yeah,
It's Moldova.
you are.
Okay, I'm like, please correct me if I'm getting this wrong. What is Moldova like? Like, is there anything that we can kind of like compare it to in the United States, or what is it like?
Moldova, it's kind of hugged between Romania and Ukraine.
Okay.
It used to be part of Romania a long, long time ago, historically, and then it was part of Soviet Union. And then in 1991, it just became its own country.
So you were there, like you were young, but you were
so
there.
I'm a Soviet Union. My parents, I'm not as much Soviet Union, but I was raised by Soviet Union parents. So
Okay, wait, so what does that mean? Like, what does the Soviet Union mean? Like strict?
Very strict.
Yes.
Yeah. The teachers are super strict. They have no shame to shame you in front of everybody.
Yeah.
So you kind of have to get tough skin real quick.
Yes.
They could shame your parent in front of everybody, all the parents. So like here you have the parent teacher conference 101. Oh, there's the entire class. And if they need to say something about your kid, it's going to be in front of everybody.
Are you serious?
I am serious.
Wait, so you have a daughter in school. Is it so weird when you go to these? Are you like, you're being really nice?
Yeah,
like,
so weird. But also like if the adult tells you that it rains from down up, it's just how it is.
Yeah.
So it's not as touchy and, feeling and lots of discussion about love and the world and how everything comes together. It's just parents are always just busy and you just kind of figure out on your own. And so the culture is just very like the kids are kind of more to just be there and to follow the rules. And like, so raising the kids is just very structured. Very structured and not necessarily, it's not so individualized like here, I would say. So I feel like I'm the bridge between the generations, and I'm trying to shut that and leave that in the past and take what's best. Because I'm sure, there was things that were nice.
Yeah.
They teach you hard work and being on time and being responsible. That's all comes from that.
Yeah.
And then just kind of take the best out of that generation and the rest just leave it in. Behind me.
So culturally, is it like, were women like given the rights and freedom? Like, were you raised with like a mom who like had a voice the way that you do, or was it very different?
Let's just say sort of.
Yeah.
You have a voice, but you can't really sit at the table with men and just have the same power and the same weight on your what are you trying to say? It's just not the same.
Yeah.
You can make it probably in what's customized for you as a women profession. You can be a teacher or a nurse, and you can do great in that. But if you probably want to do something else, like, I don't know, be an architect or engineer, that's more male dominant, or lawyer or anything like that. That's just, you just don't belong there.
Yeah.
So it's super hard to make it through.
Yeah. And what about like income level? What is, like, was income like low?
Yeah.
Pretty much like growing up. And so do you remember like being or like seeing people who had money? Like, are there a lot of people there that did have a lot of wealth? Is it like small families? Certain families have wealth and then everyone else is kind of like the same?
So when Soviet Union kind of disappeared, that's when a lot of things happened financially and just in general. The dollar amount at the time was super small, pennies on the dollar, pennies on the ruble, let's just say that. And then very few people knew that the dollar is probably going to be hundreds and tens of times more overnight. So everybody during Soviet Union, you had plenty of money and good salaries and everything was, when the great America used to be as well. But overnight, just everybody lost their money. There was a lot of shortage on food. And I remember I used to go at 5 a.m., staying in line to just buy bread, milk, whatever the necessities. And
was that like the kids' role? Like, did the kids? So it was like the kids that went.
It would be adults, but my mom had 3 kids, so I would always be the one go because I was the oldest. You go stay in line, and also there's language barrier because I was speaking Romanian, but there was all the Russians around me. Yeah, so we were the minority. Okay, so that's like a whole nother story, just being the minority there. And then I would get lost in translation, and I would just lose my place in line or get a whole mess up. People fight. Yeah. Because I was either too shy to speak up. Oh, I am the last one. Or it was interesting.
Yeah. And how young do you remember doing that?
I was 6, 7, 8. Gosh. Yeah.
Wow. Mm-hmm. And so for us, I know that we're about the same age. It's crazy to look back and be like, it doesn't seem like that it was that long ago, but your life is so different from what it was. And there's so many things that I think, when you were talking about things being a little more strict and tough skin, you are who you are because of that. And I think what you were able to do here is because of what you went through and because of how you were raised. You were not going to give up without a fight. You're tough. You're going to make it. And I think that's something that you at least gained from that.
True, but also I had to be real careful on what I bring into this, I would say, life here in America, because a lot of things were not serving me, coming from where I come from. So I had to quickly learn what do I need to change and how do I need to be. And I've done a lot of work on myself. Yeah.
Well, you're amazing. So whatever you did perfectly.
Yeah, that Soviet Union Oxana needs to die and never come back. But that's my journey,
Yeah. Okay. And so you had a family member that was a barber, correct? Did you mention that? Was it your dad?
Yeah. So my dad was just the neighborhood barber, Yeah. He never owned a shop or anything. He just did haircuts in the neighborhood.
Were there barber shops in your town though? But he just kind of did it
did it at the house. Yeah.
So do you remember having people come in and watching him cut hair? I mean, is that when you first were like, I want to do this? This is something I'm interested in?
That was just seemed really fun and cool. Then I had a boyfriend that his mom was a hairstylist, and it seemed that she had the best time and it was so much fun, and she was actually making a living because she would bring cash money at the end of the day. Another thing that we were known in Soviet Union, people would not get paid for months, and sometimes it would be up to a year.
Oh my God.
So having that cash money at the end of the day was huge for us.
Okay.
With the economical transition, it was just a disaster.
Yeah.
Then I remember my hairstylist. She was the first woman that I knew that bought her own car with her own money. And I thought that was the coolest thing ever. And I'm like, I want to be like her.
Yeah.
She had fun. She dressed cute and she had everything she needed.
Yeah. Did she have to go to beauty school? Was there a beauty school system there?
Yeah.
So did you think that you were going to go to beauty school there? What was it that made you be like, okay, I'm going to go to the United States to do this? How did that happen?
I was going to do it after 9th grade.
Okay.
And my mom was like, you've got to finish high school.
Yeah. Oh, you were just ready to just drop out and just
go for it. I was like, why wait?
We talk about you being so forward thinking.
I'm ready to make money. I'm ready to make money. My mom was like, you've got to finish high school.
Yeah.
I did finish high school. I'm like, well, I'm ready.
Yeah.
And I got a scholarship for financing banks.
Yes.
So she's like, well, you can't waste that.
Yeah.
So I went and did that. And after the second year, I got an opportunity to come to United States.
Yeah. So what was that opportunity? What brought you here? Because you ended up like in Mississippi, Alabama. Like, where was it? It was somewhere like in
Gulfport, Mississippi.
Yeah. Like, how did you end up there? And what was that experience like of you being like, I'm going to another country. I'm leaving everything that I have. Like, were you excited? Were you terrified? What was that like?
Oh, I wasn't terrified. If you can live in my country, you can live anywhere.
Yeah. So were you like more excited to get
I
out
was
of
very
that?
excited. I was just thrilled to see, because everything I would see, Disney and other things, movies were translated. I only saw it on TV. There's nothing else to see there.
Okay, so what did you think America was going to be like? Like, what show did you watch and you were like...
Oh, I remember I was so into Vin Diesel and like
Fast and
Nicole
Furious.
Kidman, like that. They were my people. Those the movies that I was watching. Terminator, Arnold Schwarzenegger. Like that was the people, like, what, 25, 30 years ago?
Yeah.
That's the movies I was watching. And they're all American. And I still remember on every Sunday at 4:00, would watch, like, it was a 10, 15 minute Disney cartoon. And before and after that, it would be just 5 minutes about the World Disney, just in the one in Orlando, Florida.
Yeah.
And I thought, oh my gosh, this is amazing. And like, if somebody would tell me, like, just so you know, in 25 years, you will go there and you probably get engaged there with, cheesy stuff like that. I would not believe it.
Yeah. That's so awesome. So you like get on a plane.
So it was this program that they were working with students. And I just applied and I got accepted, and yeah.
Did you have any friends that were coming with you? Mm-hmm. Okay, so you at least kind of knew some people.
Yeah, we were a whole group. It was a lot of fun.
Okay, so you get to Mississippi.
Gulfport, Mississippi, and I got a job. They provided us a job at McDonald's.
Yeah, and you spoke no English. Like, you did not know, like, I'm sure you knew like some basic words.
Yeah,
like
brother, sister, and maybe count.
Yeah. And so how did you learn the language? So you start a job at McDonald's, and how did you, like, what happened? Like, what did you do on your first day?
I was the French fry maker.
Okay.
You don't need much language there.
Yeah.
And then slowly, the boss, I remember, was talking to me, and it seemed one long word. Mm-hmm. And I couldn't even break it up. That's how messed up it was.
Yeah.
Because the English that we were learning, it was more the England English, the British English versus the American English. So then by the end of a month in, I was like, okay, I could differentiate the words. Mm-hmm. Okay. I just didn't know what they mean. Yeah. And then by the end of the summer, I feel like just by being thrown into a jungle like that you have to figure it out. Your subconscious, your brain, your survival instincts just kick in, and you just learn. As long as you're not surrounded too much by your peers and you just out into the wolves, then you figure it out. Yeah. Human nature just learns and does it. Yeah. So by the end of the summer, I was at the drive-thru talking with people. Yeah.
Was everyone nice to you in Mississippi? Did everyone okay, good. Very. Yeah. So that transition was easy.
I mean, I come from a country that you can get punched just by walking not the right direction. Yeah. It's very normal. Right. So everybody was just smiling and so patient with me, and yeah.
That's so awesome. And where were you living at the time? Like, when you were working at McDonald's, like, where were you living?
We just had this company that was kind of taking care of us, and we had just a big apartment and a house, and it was fun. It was fun, living with young people and then working.
So were you 18?
I was 21.
Okay, so you had been out, I guess, in life a little bit, because you graduated high school at the same age. Was it 18? Yeah. Okay. So you graduated high school, did that. Then when did you end up going to beauty school?
So after 3 months, I moved to Fairhope, Alabama.
Okay.
And I worked at this big hotel that was kind of subcontracting, I would say, seasonal labor.
Okay.
Because I guess it was very hot, or it was a retirement community. So I guess they needed, young people come in and work for a certain season. So I was one of them. And that's how I've met my first husband.
Okay. And so did you have London before you went to beauty school?
Yeah, I met my first husband, and, it's a small town.
Yeah.
We got engaged, and next thing you know, we're like pregnant, and that's what people do, I guess.
Yes.
You drink that water. So.
Yes, exactly.
And then a month probably after the wedding, I found out that I was pregnant.
Wow.
And because we were going to get married, and I was like, I want to go to LA. I want to go to California or New York or somewhere so I can learn from the best, beauty school and salon. And well, God has a different plan for you always. Then, so I got pregnant, and I was like, well, this is time. I can't move with a kid to California. So I went to beauty school. Being pregnant.
In Alabama. Okay, so went to beauty school.
11 years ago, yeah.
And finished beauty school. What was that experience like for you? Is that where you feel like you really kind of became a little more of who you are today? I mean, do you think you kind of found yourself a little bit there, or were you still kind of on the grind? Like, were you still kind of like, I just have to get through this and this and this? Or
I think I learned actually a lot. But at the time, I remember it was not any Instagram yet. So I was going on the website, like modelsalon.com, just to grab any education I could get.
Yeah.
And I'll get all these certificates, and I was learning the first ombre I learned from YouTube, which is a disaster to do it these days.
Yes.
You don't do that.
Yeah.
I was just trying to get as much information as I could. And then I learned, obviously, at the time I thought it was plenty, but once you get in the salon world, you figure it out that that's just the tip of the iceberg.
Yes, there's so much more. So what was the first salon that you worked in?
I worked at the salon called Warlock, and it was this older lady that she's been in the industry for so long, and she's been known for her haircuts. So that's where I learned my good old haircuts from her. And then color, I just kind of learned on my own.
How
from
long
different
were
classes.
you at that first salon?
I would say almost 2 years. And then I helped them actually open a beauty school and a salon.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and I was kind of super involved in building the beauty school and all of that. And then for some reason I was so young and naive. I don't know why I thought I was going to be a partner or something. But then they kind of kicked me to the curb. I'm like, well, okay.
Yeah.
But by that time, I got a reputation already in Fairhope, Alabama, and I was invited by the best salon in town to go work for them. And that was amazing.
And that's when everything kind of took off for you in the industry. Yeah. What was that salon called?
Sanctuary Salon.
Okay.
Brandy Hoover is the owner. I love her.
I was going to ask you if you're still
keep in touch. Yeah.
That's awesome.
And then fast forward, I've been there for a year. And I still never forgot the thought that I wanted to move and do something more than just a small town hair salon. And at that time, I already have traveled to New York City Fashion Week, and I've been to London and Paris. When FashionTV had launched the eyewear, I was one of my girlfriends from London. She invited me to be in charge for the hair. Pretty much for the hair, and she would be the one for the makeup. So
wow,
it was really cool.
Yeah. So when you started seeing that these opportunities were coming to you, were you like, oh, I have then did your eyes even open even a little wider and say, okay, wait, now I want even more of this?
I would get so much education, so much exposure, and then bring it back to the small town. I'm like, there's something more out there. There's something more.
Yeah.
And at the time, London's dad and I were just decided to just go our separate ways because of it.
Yeah.
And I had to move somewhere that it's still close to Fairhope, Alabama, and Nashville was the one.
Yeah. So when you were going through that time, do you think that you kind of felt like you had these really big dreams and you were seeing the world? I mean, was he a part of any of that with you? Like, did he travel with you at all? Or was it like
no,
you going and doing it yourself?
No, it's funny because, even my parents didn't think it was a thing. My husband at the time didn't think it was anything. They're just like, is this a hobby? Like, when are you going to get a real job? And I'm like, oh, just wait.
Yeah. I mean, do you feel that? Like, do you remember feeling like, I just feel like I have to prove to you that I'm serious
very
about
much.
this?
And they all came to me, obviously, a few years later. I'm like, so sorry.
Yeah.
This actually is a real career.
Yeah. I know, but sometimes like you need that. Like, I know it's hard being in those moments. And I think even for beauty school students that are like, hey, I want to come into this industry, it's almost like you need that person to doubt you a little bit, because I think that sometimes the doubt pushes you to do things like you're going to go outside of your comfort zone just because you're going to prove them wrong. Like, I know that's my personality completely. Like, tell me I can't do it and I will do it 10 times bigger than I would have ever done it if you said I could do it.
Yeah.
I
agree. And I am the same person.
Yeah. I think that's sometimes is
don't
good.
Don't ever say I can't do it, because I will go do it.
You're like, even if it's not something I want to do, if you tell me I can, I'm going to do it.
I'll go do it.
Yeah. So that's awesome. And so you kind of really grew in a short amount of time in your career. I mean, it seems like over 4 years-ish you were traveling and...
Yeah. In Fairhope, I was for 3 years doing hair.
Yeah.
Almost 3 years. Yeah.
Where was your favorite place? Like, where do you have any memories of maybe London or Paris or New York? Like, where did you go that you were like, okay, I made it. Like, this is crazy that I'm here. Or did you have that experience everywhere that you went?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. But I knew that this is not it. It's only the beginning. I've got to get out of Fairhope, Alabama.
Yeah.
I've got to. So when I moved to Nashville, I was so thirsty and just hungry for everything. I walked into a salon. I saw for the first time somebody doing a balayage, a legit L'Oreal way balayage. And I'm like, what is this? I need to learn everything.
Yeah. So how did you pick Nashville? It was just the closest big city?
Yeah. So my options were Tampa, Atlanta, Orlando, New Orleans. And they all were a little too hot for me. Yeah. The weather was just another thing that was just giving me headaches, and the humidity. I just
because you're used to freezing cold. Like, we haven't even talked. Yeah, I didn't even think about that. It's I'm sure I was constantly
having headaches, and so Nashville was a little bit the only one that would be a little more north. So
how long ago did you move to Nashville?
2016. 7 years ago.
Yeah. Wait.
6.5.
It's so crazy because when we've been talking about everything that you've done, for some reason, I know that all of this happened quickly, but for how much you've accomplished, I'm like, oh no, she's been here for 20 years. I don't know. I know that math doesn't add up at all, but it seems like it's crazy that you've done all of this in such a short amount of time. So you started in where was the first salon you worked here?
Element Salon.
Okay. And then you went into Parlor 3 from there. Okay. And you worked at Parlor 3 for a little bit.
Yeah. So I was Element a little over a year, and then I was invited there to work at Parlor 3. And I worked there 3 years exact. And I mean, both amazing, still biggest salons in Nashville. And I learned everything I know from them. Yeah. So,
I mean, and Nashville has changed so much just in the time that since you've been here. So was working at those salons, was that your first taste of the super luxury, super high-end celebrity clientele? How did you feel about learning all of that? Were you excited to go into that environment? Yeah. Did you feel like this is where I'm meant to be?
Yeah, definitely. Probably if I would be single and no kids, I would get more into that celebrity, being on their schedule. But being a mom, I just kind of had to be in line to, I need a certain hours, and this is when I need to be home.
Yeah, because you were a single mom at that point, right? So you were doing this all by yourself and moving.
Never had a babysitter even. Never missed a day of work, never been sick. I was just on it.
Yeah.
I did a little bit, but that was just,
Yeah.
London comes first.
I think it's funny because when we talk about, challenges of the generation that is coming up behind us, who I think there's so much that we have to learn from them, but there's also this thing that just keeps being reiterated the more that I'm doing these shows and the more that I'm talking to people is that there are a lot of challenges as far as structure goes. And so it's funny to think about you doing everything that you were doing as a single mom, building your career and all of that. Like, it's almost like there are people that could have it so much easier and that could, like, you want to be like, no, just do this, you know, because you had it and you had to do it in a lot more complicated, like in a much harder way. So I know it's frustrating sometimes to be like, no, you can do this. You just have to work. Like, look at what I did without any help. So I know that you know, can definitely be a challenge and especially as a salon owner now. So when did you so you left Parlor at 3 and you immediately went out on your own? Did you immediately have your own space, studio? Like, what did that look like?
I was trying to get my own space and I knew that I was just ready and I knew that I had so much to offer to the clients and even recruit people and teach them everything I know. And it was obviously complicated because the bank, the lease, I never had the landlord or lease a commercial space. But, you know, again, I think when it's meant to be, the right people come your way. And a lady came and offered me a space to just go booth rent. I'm like, well, I don't want to do that. I'm very loyal to where I am. If anything, I'll open my own space. And then she kind of kept coming back and like, well, why don't you buy my space? And I'm like, wait, what? And at the time, that was like the bank would tell me no. You know, the place that I found to lease was just too much. And it was just, you know, and that was kind of my option only. And that's how I got into it.
And that was the space downtown on how do you say it? Demombrian?
Demombrian, yeah.
Oh, is this wrong?
Yeah. It was an existing salon that I have purchased.
Yeah. So who was guiding you? Who was the person that you had in your life to say, hey, I'm thinking about that? Like, who was your mentor at the time that you were bouncing ideas off of? Did you have anyone?
I did not have anyone until I bought it. But then as soon as I bought it and like signed all the paperwork and everything, then I went to Summit for 3.5 days. And David Hodges is my coach. Yeah. Love him.
Yeah.
He taught me so much.
Yeah.
So much.
So it's really important, I think, as you're going out to surround yourself with people that are going to be able to help you figure all this stuff out. Because there are just some things that, as much as I think you're such a go-getter, that you would have figured it out or whatever. But I think it's really important to lean on people and to find people who can help you. So resources like Summit, or there's so many people, I think now, even like coaches and all of that stuff that exists now, even like far more than there were, you know, even 5 years ago. I think social media has pushed that a little bit, but I think it's really important to find those people and lean on them. So they kind of got you set up because how long were you by yourself?
You mean
like with no stylist under you? Like,
I kind of had, I think, so I moved and I was kind of booth renting since October till February 1st. We signed the lease. We signed the paperwork and everything went under me. So that would be like almost 4.5, I would say 5 months. October, November, December, January. Yeah, 5 months. So in that time, I kind of, you know, people start applying because I was promoting myself. And so I had maybe 2 or 3 stylists and just me. But I want to say, give a big shout out to Daniel Mason-Jones too, because he was the one that just changed my whole career as a stylist. He was the one that pushed me and he was the one that was just like, you can do anything. What is the income that you want? Here's the formula. Yeah. You know.
How did you get connected with him? When did you
I went to a class my first year in Nashville.
Okay. And like he had come to Nashville and like you.
Yes. Yeah. It was outside Nashville. Yeah. Okay. So I was like, wait, so you can do this and this? I was just so, like I said, I was so hungry to learn everything that I couldn't get enough of it. And then quickly I was the best one in the salon that I was. And then, when I moved to the next one, I quickly became just the best retail seller. Anything. I was the best one. And so I needed the next I needed the next challenge.
Yeah.
And that was the salon, opening my own.
Yeah.
That's an ongoing challenge for sure.
Yeah. And so you've been in that space for how many years?
3 years now.
Okay. And then opened the Brentwood location.
Yeah.
It's funny to me, like listening to your story, I just feel like there's just always this sense of like more. Okay. Like I did this thing and I've gotten like all the education, like now I want to be a salon owner, and then I want to pour out and feed. You have a continuation of like wanting to help and to give back. I think it keeps coming up when the more that I talk to you. It's just so much more of like, yes, I want to do these things for me, but there's always that connection of like, but I also want to help and give back to others. There's not like a selfish way that you're like, okay, I want to have a salon so that I can make as much money as I can and this and this and this. Like, that's not the point for you. I think that you are constantly like, I want to have this so that I can give back. And you're like, okay, I'm giving back. So now I want to do more of this and this, I think it's really special. And I think, Daniel Mason-Jones definitely has that.
Yeah.
Well,
you gotta have your tribe, nobody without your team.
So, speaking about your tribe and having people around you that are going to support you, and without naming specifics, have there been people kind of in the industry that have tried to kind of discourage you, bring you down, or kind of not bring you down personally, but other people that you've come across that are like, they don't believe in what I'm doing and they think I'm crazy for wanting to do it this way, but I'm going to do it anyways. Does that happen, or has it been a genuine, like a pretty positive experience?
It was overall a pretty positive, but even my coach, David, he's like, you gonna do what? I was like, David, I promise you, I feel it in my gut. It's gonna work. And it would work out. And then some things it wouldn't work out. And I'm like, David, what do I do? And then I was lucky to get really close with Daniel. And, before I opened my second location, I actually had a phone conversation with him. And, I just almost needed his blessing because it was happening so fast.
Yeah.
I'm like, am I crazy or this is really happening?
Yeah.
Especially during pandemic. So
yeah. I'm going to ask you a question, like for me personally, when you are so forward thinking the way that you are, and I told you this before I started recording, but the one thing that has come up from the last time that you and I met, and my husband and I pointed over there because he's behind the scenes doing sound. But one of the things that I keep saying is like, Oxana identified something in me that I have never identified in myself, in that like, I can sometimes feel crazy about the things I want to do, or like these ideas that I have where I'm like, no, we can have this podcast and this show and this network, and I believe in it so wholeheartedly. But you talk to other people and they're like, well, you have to do this. How do you balance okay, I'm forward thinking and I have all these ideas, but exactly what you said, like, okay, well, I did this and it didn't work. So now what do I do? Is it more of just like, you have to have people that are just going to support you even when you fall? Like, how do you balance that? Because there's not a lot of people, I think I'm asking this in a really roundabout way, but there's not a lot of people that think the way that we do, or that, that are like, I want to do this and this, that are as motivated. So it can be discouraging sometimes when you are that kind of person. So do you just trust yourself enough to say like, are you confident enough and like good enough and just in yourself that you don't need that from other people? Or how do you balance it?
My go-to role or decision-making is, okay, will this benefit the world? Will this benefit my family? Will this fulfill me as a person, achieving things and doing things, I'll always have that in my subconscious, where I come from, that it's like, you can't do much, or this is your limits. And I almost hate that so much that my brain will just do the opposite. So I always try to just have a quiet moment and listen to my gut, is this really gonna benefit? Because if it will benefit the world, the community, your family, yourself, will I learn something from it? God is going to help you. Because there's no other way. Yeah. I mean, it's not going to be easy. And if you're going to fall on your face, well, I always say I either have to learn something from it, or learn something from it, or gain strength. So having that always in my mind, that's just my holy grace. That's just how I move forward. I mean, I've had a very challenging time at times, and it was very discouraging. But, prayer, a lot of prayer, a lot of just kind of, okay, what is the message here? I'm a big believer in that. What is the message here? And for some reason, the answers are always coming. Mm-hmm. And you can always ask God, the universe, what do I need to know? Give me some signs. And man, that works.
Whether it's a sign you want to see or not, it does come back to you for sure. I remember, even being like little, I remember being like, having like a show or whatever. Like I went through a phase where I used to watch like infomercials all the time, like those products like on TV, and there's a person's like, look at this grill or whatever it was, and I used to watch those all the time and be like, oh my gosh, like it'd be so fun, to host a show or whatever. Those opportunities aren't always just, my family supports me like unconditionally. And my husband, obviously, I think choosing a partner is really important. I think when I see these like young girls that I'm around in beauty school all the time and they have crappy boyfriends or, or girlfriends or whatever it is, that are treating them poorly, I'm like, what are you doing? Like, you need to have somebody that is on your team. And I don't think, and sometimes that's just like a hard lesson to learn. Like, I think a lot of them will probably go through a marriage and then realize like, oh, hey, it's not like I need somebody that's going to believe in me. And I think that that's so important. And even if your ideas are insane, as long as it's not, putting you really far into debt or it's like ruining someone else's life to do it. I think it's really important to just go for the things that you think feel right. And I think you said earlier, like you just have to trust your gut. Yeah. And if a door opens or if something's made possible, whether you are the one that's like, I'm going to go get that, I'm going to chase that dream, I think you have to follow it. But I think not everyone has that motivation. Like, I think a lot of people that I'll talk to about, like, I'll get on these like rants about like, oh, you should do this or you should do this like bigger thing. And they're like, no, I'm kind of good where I'm at. Yeah. A lot of people are good.
But and it shouldn't be that way. That if everybody's going to be like that, then who's going to be the ones that keep us grounded or admire flowers and admire like little things, we have. The world has to have a balance. So there's some go-getters and just work is just something that they enjoy so much. And some people go to work because they just need to pay the bills and they enjoy other things, But having a good partner, that changed a lot for me. Like Tommy is just my biggest fan, and having that on your side, it's half the battle,
Yeah, no, definitely. And so you recently got engaged. So speaking of him, so Tommy, you guys just got engaged on Christmas morning? Yeah. So on Christmas morning, you proposed. We will drop links in the bio or in the section below the podcast and everywhere, because the engagement video is the cutest thing. Like, ever since we left Nashville, I feel like I've just been like stalking your Instagram, but it was like the cutest proposal. And then you just recently shared some other news on your reels that I like absolutely love. But so now you are pregnant with a little boy. Yes. So excited. Now, as you're juggling two super successful salons, so you are, just bossing like crazy right now. And just in this really successful period, you also, last time we were here, decided to take a step back, which I think now looking back, getting married, having a baby, like, and having those steps already prepped for you, where you were kind of taking a little bit of not a break behind the chair, but you stepped back a little bit. You gave away a lot of your clients to the stylist so that you could jump into the ownership role a little more. How did that transition go? Talk to me a little bit about that change kind of like in your career.
It was one of those things. I thought of this is what's going to be good for me. But at my core, I love doing hair.
Yeah.
So I was in a lot of pain, with having TMJ, deviate septum, headaches, all of that. So I thought the right decision is to step back. And I did. And in the moment and I was doing it, I'm thinking, I don't want to manage people. Sure, I want to lead the company, but I don't want to do the management things.
Yes.
So
Yes.
I hired somebody for that.
Yeah.
And then I kept half of my clients. And I mean, I used to do 14 colors a day. I feel like I wanted to throw up and punch somebody at the end of the day.
Throw up and punch somebody. I love that.
I could not. And instead of me taking a rest day after that, I had to go and do inventory, place orders, just like do business stuff.
Right. And that's not fun for you. That's not, I mean, you just said something like that I love. Like you want to lead the company and you want to run the company, but you don't want to do all the managerial stuff. And I think that that's okay. Then you find somebody and you hire somebody that you trust that can do those things. So, because I know you said you had a meeting with your staff and you said, hey, like things are going to be changing a little bit. I'm going to be stepping back and, giving my clients. How did you determine who was going to get your clients? How did you determine like who got them, or did you leave it up to the client to decide?
Give them a few options.
Okay.
I would give them a few options. And our staff just kind of specializes in different things. One only does balayage. One only does blondes and foils. So I was just kind of feeling it out and see who they need to go to.
Yeah. Were your clients like pretty open to that? I mean, this is a hard conversation to have for a lot of stylists.
Some of them were, and they were very understanding. And some of them actually, I was like, did you get my email? They're like, no. I was like, are you sure? She's like, yeah, but I did not open it. I'm not going to open it because I know what it's all about.
Yeah.
So I'm like, what is it going to take?
Yeah.
For me to stay?
Yeah.
I have a house in France. You can go on holidays. I'm like, oh, really?
You're like, okay, I'll take it. You can stay. You're like, don't open that email.
And we actually had that heart-to-heart conversation. She's like, why are you doing this? This is what you're so good at.
Yeah.
And I'm like, again, it was like another message from the universe. Like, why am I doing this? Because I really do. Like my coaching one-on-ones with my stylist and associates and being with my clients and doing my craft, it's my favorite thing in the world.
Yeah.
So why would I do it? So in the midst of everything, I'm like, okay, we hired a manager. I gave away half of my clients. Is there any way I can find a happy medium? And I did. I'm doing 7 colors a day now versus 14. And
how has that adjustment been on your body? Like
so much better.
Okay.
I actually enjoy every second of it.
Yeah.
Versus like going through the day.
That's a really important message, I think, because there is a point where this does just kind of take its toll.
Yeah.
And you don't have to give it up 100%.
No.
But maybe stepping back a little bit and having people fill in the gaps in other ways is you just have to get creative sometimes in this path of you that you are hiring somebody and stepping back and like all of that stuff. Like that's no one else's path. That's your path. And like you have to make it what you want it to be.
Yeah. There's no formula.
No.
There's no formula for any.
But
I mean, there's a general formula, but what it's going to be, what it's my journey,
Yeah.
So just trying just trying different things, you just kind of find what works for you.
Don't you kind of think that I'll say the old salon model, a model of even, 20 years ago or whatever, didn't it all seem very cookie cutter? Like it felt like there was a formula. It was like, you do this and you do this and you do this. And I think that whether it's social media or whatever it is, or like just, women in this industry wanting more of a work-life balance, and we want the career and we want the family and we want to travel and we want all that stuff and kind of paving our own way. I think that is a way that it's changing. And I think that a really important message to send to like anyone that's watching or listening is to figure out what it is that you want and make that work. Like I'm sure that there were some adjustment periods where it maybe felt weird, or maybe it felt like, wait, am I doing the right thing? Did I make the right decision? But it's okay to either go back or to revisit what you have done to say, okay, wait, now I need to do this a different way. To make it work for me.
And I'm sure I'll change my schedule again because I'm going to be a new mom.
And that's
so
okay.
It's a constant change, and change is good. Change is good. It's just, that's the world we live in.
Yeah. How was your process of finding a manager?
There was a friend that she was closing her business, and she had such good people that I was lucky to just put my hand on one.
And what industry was that in? Was it beauty related? Or
it was sort of beauty related. It was more retail.
Okay. Which is great
women.
for a manager. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's exactly what you need. So did you feel any, was it weird for you to pass off the responsibility?
Well, it was a slow,
Okay.
because we didn't know how this is gonna go.
Yeah.
So, and she never really had the salon experience, but she had the experience with so many other things that it was actually more beneficial for us. So it was just, just being together every day, all day, and just figuring out, okay, what can we do? And it's been so good. She's so organized, and I need that.
Yeah. Isn't there a moment where sometimes when this happens that you're like, how did I do this without her? Like once you find the right person, you're like, how did I live without you before? Like, how did I run my business without
every
you?
day. Every day.
That's so awesome.
She's just so calm and collected. And, us hairdressers, hairstylists, we just a lot of emotions and a lot of, so she's just so good with handling all of us.
Yeah.
Even me.
So you were able to share some stories last time a little bit on the show, but I think it was more of us talking about it after we stopped recording. I feel like all of the good conversation happened like off camera last time. I'm like, we need to be recording this. But talk a little bit about the 3-day a week and income level that your stylists are actually able to get to, because I think out of all of the salons owners that I've talked to, you're doing something crazy and something's happening inside of those walls that like is just absolutely insane. So kind of talk a little bit about the money, if you don't mind to talk about that.
I love talking about money.
The income that your stylists are able to make and how quickly they're able to build their brand or their business at this point.
Yeah. I feel us in the industry, we artists, we love people, we love giving back, but a lot of times we forget about the actual business side of it. Mm-hmm. And that's what actually my 2-year career, school finance and banks sort of comes in. Also, it's just the passion about it, making it work and not work for free. Mm-hmm. To me, a hairstylist career, it's pretty short. Mm-hmm. It's not like you can climb the corporate ladder and then retire, have a nice retirement. That doesn't even exist anymore in America. I feel like maybe.
Yeah.
And how can I get the most out of these prime years? Mm-hmm. I'm also realizing, even having my own health issues because of being behind the chair, I want to make sure that I take care of my stylist. So you finish beauty school and then you start climbing that ladder of just being the best stylist that you can be. Mm-hmm. And you work a lot of hours behind the chair. And then right when you get to the peak, that's when your body starts giving up slowly.
Yeah.
So to me, I was like, what can I do? How can I, have time to rest and recharge and do all those things that I want to do, but then also want to make the income. We spend so much money on our education. I feel like by the end of this career, we could have spent more than a college.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
More than
easily.
A college. So why do we not deserve to have the same income especially when it's a short career? Mm-hmm. So from all this just information, I was like, okay, what if we work 3 days, longer days? Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday, Friday, Saturday. And as soon as your books are full, let's get you some help, an associate. That way you can train the next generation, but also have an extra set of hands to pamper your clients and get in more people. I feel like associates, maybe not right now, but the old way used to be you just come in, sweep and shampoo, and that's it. And I feel like that's just not enough. You need human touch. You actually need to be doing foils and hair and anything.
Well, you can't go from being in a salon at beauty school. You're doing hair and then just stop.
You'll never find a surgeon that only did surgeries on a mannequin.
Yes.
You need to get on a reel and touch a real person. Mm-hmm. So it was a little weird for even our clientele. But now, by explaining them that, they're like, well, that makes sense. They got to get on real humans. They work 3 days. You get an associate. Some of them have 2. I personally coach them every 60 days, the stylist, and every 30 days, the associate. And they get it, I try to learn so much from all my coaches and then bringing all this information to my people. Mm-hmm. And if there's a problem, we're trying to brainstorm and figure out a way How can I help them? And I mean, I have a pretty good, history of people, doing the associate program with us, and within a few years, depends on how fast you want to move. They can be level 1, 2, 3 and making over 6 figures, just working 2.5, 3 days.
Are your associates only on the 3-day schedule, or are they're on the 3-day as well?
So actually we just revamped it. I feel like there's nothing else I'm so proud of this associate program. There's nothing else I can add to make it better.
Yeah.
So they are working 3 days with their mentor. But within the first 3 months, they have to pick up an opportunity day on the weekend, Saturday or Sunday, to just do blowouts. And we do them for $20. So if there's something went wrong, you can't really complain and you don't get refunds. You at least got your hair washed.
Right.
But I feel like instead of going through beauty school and then you sort of get some clients there, and then usually when they get to a hair salon, okay, we're going back to sweeping and shampooing.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, don't lose that touch with clients.
Yes.
Don't make another pause. And then you graduate and then it's sort of another pause until you start building your clientele. I'm like, how can I eliminate these pauses?
Well, this generation doesn't have time for pauses. Like that, they will just quit. Like they will just like leave the industry.
Especially this generation.
Yeah.
So they pick up a opportunity day and within the first 3 months, doing blowouts. And as they do the in-salon classes and going through the training, that we keep adding services, base touch-ups and glosses and treatments and things like that. Then by the probably last 6 to 4 months left, they pick up another opportunity day. So the goal for them is to have 2 full days of clients by the time they graduate, and all they do have to fill up another day. So they start making money, and they're already making commission, a very small commission on the opportunity days, but they, why wait? Like they already have goals and coaching and everything if they would be a stylist. So it's super, they get about 20 classes a year within their program, coaching monthly and obviously coaching with their own mentors and hands-on. And if you can't make it after this program, you probably shouldn't be in this career.
Yeah.
But 99%, they all very successful. Yeah. With this program.
So are you teaching the classes? Do you have someone in your salon that teaches the classes?
We all specialize in something.
Okay.
So I teach the business part.
Okay. I love that.
Yeah. My favorite one, and the balayage.
Okay. That's so fun. And so then that's also giving your stylists that have been there for a while, I'm sure that feeds something inside of them to be able to teach. Like, I feel like you really are hitting so many points of like interest for people too, to keep them interested and to keep them with you on this journey. So how many stylists do you have between the two? Do you know?
Like the exact 22 stylists.
Okay. And you had several, not only making like but like over $300,000.
For the W2, I would say 200.
Yeah. Okay. I mean,
in sales, that's obviously more.
Right. I mean, it's so crazy. And it's just something that I think so many people, whether it's because they're from like a small town and they just haven't seen a salon like this or thought that they had that opportunity. I mean, it's not what people think of as this career in the beauty industry. So I think it's so special that you're doing that. And I think and just from what I know of people coming out of beauty school and looking for an opportunity, I mean, being able to work 3 days a week, because I think where some salons go wrong is that it's like they're requiring them to be there so much. They just burn out because again, they're in that first year. So they're like, they were, top dog at beauty school, right? Like they were doing everything and they were great. And then, like you said, they hit this lull. Well, you've got to keep them interested. You've got to keep encouraging them to stay in it even through the hard days. Now, does that mean that has to be like an easy path? Like, absolutely not. They're going to work hard. But I think that it's so important to keep them engaged. And I think it's so smart to do those blowout days and like for them to slowly add on services. Because I know what a lot of salons will do is they'll be like, you're in an associate program, but you get to have a chair 1 day a week. Well, that can be a color service that they're still uncomfortable with. it can be something that's still intimidating to them. And I know I've talked to a lot of salon owners that say, you just got to throw them into it. They've got to figure it out. But I also think if you're easing them into it the way that you're doing, it makes a lot more sense for them to build confidence as well as their books.
I mean, if anything goes wrong, that can scar you for a long time.
Yes.
So, and I mean, the clients are very much aware that it's going to be a service provided by an associate. So they have to sign a waiver and all those things.
Yeah.
So far, everything has been good.
Yeah.
Actually.
Well, I mean, it sounds like they're not ever just like thrown to the wolves. I mean, it sounds like there's people there that are going to be able to help them.
Yeah. And these days, I mean, we used to do a basic highlight. Well, no, we're not doing any more of that. We do a foliage and a foil and a balayage all in one head and a root tap and a money piece and all those things. And the clients are so educated. So you got to keep up with it. You can't really just throw them to the wolves, sort of, but not really.
Yeah.
So I think we've found what works for us, and it's been going really good.
Yeah. So because you're so forward thinking, what do you kind of see in your future? Like, what do you see your role in the industry being? Like, do you see yourself being more of like an educator on a more broad level, or sharing kind of what you're doing business wise? Can you see yourself doing like, the Daniel Mason-Jones, like that kind of stuff? Like, do you see yourself like teaching and coaching and helping people, or do you think that you're going to be pretty grounded here?
It'll definitely be it'll always be more than here. I do love coaching women, and I actually have a lot of side hustles too. So I love those things. I think it'll be a lot of coaching, and that doesn't have to be on hair necessarily.
Okay.
Hair will be just one of them.
Okay.
I love sharing information. I feel like there's no secrets to keep, people cannot copy your energy or your chemistry that you create with your people. Yes. So there's never fear of like, oh, you got to tell all your secrets. Yeah, well,
yeah.
Because then the universe, I feel like it's going to give me even more secrets.
Oh gosh, I just love that so much. Because I do think that that's something like there seems to be at times, not with everyone, but it does seem to be at times like this competition. Yeah. But that exactly what you said, like no one's going to do it the way that you can do it.
Yeah,
like,
you cannot, nobody can steal who you are as a person and your vibe and your energy and your chemistry that you create with nobody. Yeah. So that's one thing that you have to be sure about it. But sharing, that means, well, God and universe is going to give you even more so you can keep sharing. Yeah. So that's just,
I love that. I'm so obsessed with that. I mean, that's just the best. And I know one of the things that you want to do too, because you recently got back from a trip to Mexico. So I know one of the things that you really want to do is to give back and charity work and all of that stuff. So talk to me a little bit about some of those things that you're involved in. Do you have any other trips planned, or was Mexico maybe it for a little bit?
So when I visited Daniel Mason-Jones, when I freshly opened the salon, he had this thing: if you late for work, the money goes under an employee named charity.
Oh yeah, yeah. We talked to him about that, and I love that idea.
My employees were hating it at first. I was like, "Listen, at least you're doing something good, If you late, and it wasn't a lot of money because they quickly learned their lesson. Yeah. But we were able to go to Mexico, and the salon donated some money plus the charity. Plus we raised some money via Venmo, and then some nice, generous clients matched all of that. And now all of a sudden I have all these women. They're like, I want to help with anything. I have the finances. I want to help you. Just let me know. What can I do? But we went to Mexico, and I guess they don't have a public school there. So there's no schools, which is, we all been to Mexico multiple times to, vacation, but you don't know anything about Mexico. They don't have public schools. So kids normally do not go to school. They sell on the streets flowers or food or whatever, in the small communities. So I have a friend of mine that she I was working with her at the time. She was a front desk. Her name is Destiny, and she truly is a destiny for so many people. She introduced me to Tommy even. It's just so many. Yeah, it was so sweet. But she just wanted a simple life and moved to Mexico. Then she kept saying, you know, how amazing it is. And she kind of started telling me about the community. And I'm like, wait a minute, I would love to get involved somehow. And she told me about it and how beautiful it is. She lives in Sayulita. It's an hour away from Puerto Vallarta. And we quickly raised money to help this local school. There was another American guy that donated a building and some land. And then another 2 American women. One is a teacher, and one, she has a bunch of restaurants here in the United States. So they opened the school, and they actually hired local teachers and paid them really well. And so the local kids can go to school.
That's so awesome.
Yeah. And we raised $2,000 for the school. The salon donated $2,000. It's not much, but it goes so far.
Yeah.
And we brought 4 suitcases of school supplies and presents. And then also along the way, she kind of told me about this family with, okay, now I'll get the number wrong, but it's about 14 kids.
Mm-hmm. In one family?
Mm-hmm.
Whoa. Okay.
Mm-hmm. And they don't have a home. The community got together and volunteered and built them a roof.
Oh my gosh.
So when they said like roof, I thought maybe there's they don't have walls. So it's just the roof, no walls, and it's just ground. Mm-hmm. And actually with the recent hurricane, the hurricane just washed everything. So they had to move somewhere else. So I just felt it so much for that family that I raised money through Venmo, and then another client matched everything, and we raised almost over $4,000. Yeah.
Wow.
And the house,
like you said, for there, like $4,000, like
it's not
for
a
us,
beautiful
we're like
home.
Spoiled. Yeah, but
they got walls
so
and they actually got a ground. And if I can just raise maybe just a little bit more, under $1,000, we can buy bedding for them. So yeah. The house is almost ready.
Yeah. So what organization is that there, or how would people be able to donate to that if they were interested in donating?
For the school, there is a link.
Okay.
I can
we'll
definitely share.
Yeah, we will.
But for the family, it's just
like knowing.
Destiny was kind of managing the money. It's good to actually have a person that you can't give the family they've never seen that kind of money in their life. So Destiny was just kind of, talking with the contractor, paying them, and just keeping communication with me. So
yeah, that's so special. And I think that so much of that, I know that you said previously, that there are things about your past that like you just wish would like go away. But I think like the heart that you have to give back and help others is because of the way that you were raised and the way that you grew up. So I'm sure that there's like a connection to anybody that's living a life that's maybe not the easiest right now, and just to be like this light for them. I think it's so special that you have that in your heart, because it'd be very easy for you to be like, okay, I'm a salon owner, I'm in Nashville, I'm doing really well, and I'm going to have the houses and the cars and the bags and like all the things that we can get.
I don't even own
really that we can get really like wrapped up in. I know. And I think that it's so special to keep your mindset. And like, I don't know that you maybe would have been that way if you wouldn't have experienced, the things that you experienced. So what was it like going back? I mean, is there a weird feeling for you being there? Or is it just super
go back
happy?
Home?
Is it back?
Or
no, like Mexico? In Mexico or wherever you're going to help. Because I know that this is.
It was so good. We went there for 48 hours.
Oh, it was quick. Like quick trip. Yeah.
Yeah, and we've done everything. Yeah. We actually were not going to be able to meet the family, but somehow, again, the universe, those people never on I guess it was a Thursday, they're never on a Thursday in the Sayulita, they're in a next town. But somehow they drove by us and we're like, turn around, and we got to meet them. We have a little video and picture with them. Yeah. Yeah.
That's so special. Yeah. So was it emotional for you? Was it sad or was it just like happy?
It was happy, but I mean, they couldn't speak English, and Destiny was speaking very little Spanish. So we had to translate through a phone, but it was good. It was almost like I had to process that later, you know?
Yeah, I'm sure that's it. I guess in the moment, it's probably really overwhelming. And it's probably just a lot
And they
to
were
be
like,
in, like,
what's happening?
Yeah.
Like, what? Are you building a house?
Yeah.
It all happened in 5 minutes.
Yeah.
So, but that's all you need, right?
That's so awesome. I think that's so cool. And like I said, I think that what you're doing and like the impact that you're going to have on this industry is going to be really big. And so I'm just so thankful that I got to meet you and that we, again, got this time to be together and actually record all the good stuff that we were talking about. But I'm just so thankful for you. And make sure you follow Oxana. She's at Oxana Mead and then Oxana Salon on Instagram. So make sure you follow her. We'll put links everywhere, and make sure you follow Beauty and Style Network on Instagram, and make sure you follow me at Beauty School Bobbi, and we will see you next time, guys. Bye.